Getting started with YAML. In this lesson, let us quickly check the list of topics that you are going to cover in this section. We'll first start with what is YAML. In this lesson, we will understand what is the purpose of YAML and why you need to use it in your programming constructs. This is followed by knowing where is YAML used. In this lesson, we will check the list of all areas wherein you can apply the YAML. We will also cover some of the modern language areas that is being applied with respect to the YAML language. We then cover about the key differences between YAML when compared to JSON. Although they both look a bit similar, there are some subtle differences between these two languages. We will cover that in this lesson. This is followed by YAML tools. When it comes to YAML, there are lots of tools available in the internet as well as various libraries that you can make use of. We will cover some of the popular ones in this lesson. Then we start with the first construct and the most simplest part, namely entering the comments. You learn which symbol you need to use and some of the tips that you need to keep in mind when you are working with comments in YAML. Moreover, we'll look at one of the fundamental part in the YAML, namely key value pairs. Key value pairs are the fundamental on which all the YAML structure is being developed. In this lesson, we'll get started with knowing about the key value pairs. Finally, you will understand about the importance of indentation with respect to YAML. Indentation plays a crucial role when it comes to the YAML structure. You will know the reason behind this and some of the tips when you are working with YAML structures. Let's get started with the first lesson, namely what is YAML. What is YAML? YAML stands for YAML Init Markup Language. This is the abbreviation created by the creators of this language. Let us look at the official definition of YAML. YAML is a data serialization language designed to be human-friendly and work with modern programming languages for common everyday tasks. The key words to concentrate here are those human-friendly and modern programming languages. YAML has been designed primarily to work with humans so that they're able to use this language in a more easier fashion. Also, it works with many of the modern programming languages so that you can use YAML in your day-to-day programming task. Let's look at some of the key properties of the YAML language. First is that YAML is open and interoperable, which means that you can use the YAML language in any of the programming languages. There are various libraries available for most of the modern programming languages such as .NET, Python, Java and so on. You can use your applications in either of these languages. Once you use YAML, then it's going to work seamlessly across these applications. Second, as mentioned before, the main objective of YAML is to be friendly with people. As you will be seeing throughout this course, the syntax of YAML has been created by keeping the people in mind. The final construct or the file which you are going to get out of the YAML is going to be easy for us as a developers, as humans to read those files. You are going to see that in each lessons of this specific course. Moreover, it achieves this simplicity by minimizing the structural characters included in this language. For instance, if you take JSON, there we are using curly brackets a lot. Whereas in the case of YAML, we are going to have the indentation as the structural character. By using that, you can see that the YAML final structure is going to be extremely simple for humans to understand. We'll get into this shortly. Finally, YAML has been built on the existing language concepts by taking the best out of them. Some of the languages that YAML had taken into considerations are C, Java, Python, HTML, XML, JSON and so on. So using the best of all these individual languages, they have come up with a new language, namely YAML, that provides the best of all these languages. Finally, let us look at some of the key properties within this YAML language. First is that the YAML files have a .yaml or .yml extension. You are free to use either of these extensions. Depending on the tools, they are going to use one or the other of these two extensions. Next, it is very important to note that YAML is case sensitive. Hence, you need to make sure that whatever the properties or the key names that you are going to use in the YAML is case sensitive. Finally, the latest version of YAML that we are going to see is 1.2. The initial version was 1.0 followed by 1.1, and the most recent version is 1.2. Hence, all the properties language constructs that you are going to cover throughout this section is going to be based on YAML version 1.2. Next, let's look at where is YAML used. YAML is used in various use cases in the modern programming language context. The primary reason where it is getting deployed is with configuration files. For instance, if you take the Kubernetes or the Azure DevOps configuration, we can configure the various resources available in the system, and it has to be stored in certain format. YAML is being used as one of the format to store these configuration details. Hence, the primary reason YAML is getting used in day-to-day life is with these configuration files. Of course, we have various other uses, such as you can use it to log the data into your log files. The log files typically contains various details that is going to capture what is happening in the system. We have noticed that YAML can be used in those formats as it is easier for the developers to view the log file contents as it is easy to understand them. Next, YAML is used to store the data into a file or to the database. Similar to the JSON, you can also use YAML to store the data in a specific YAML format in a file or in the database. Next, YAML can be used when you have various processes and you need to exchange messages between them. So when you have client and server applications and you want to exchange the data between these two applications, then you can use the YAML in this specific juncture. Moreover, since it's being portable and language agnostic, you can use YAML when you want to share the data between cross-language applications. Your client might be written in, say, Python, and your backend can be written in, say, .NET. In these cases, you can use the YAML to share the data between these two applications. Next, let's look at where YAML is used in the modern development constructs. Here we will quickly check what are the modern applications that has been using YAML in their constructs. Primarily, YAML has been used to define the OpenAPI specifications. In case you are not aware, OpenAPI specification is used to design the APIs and then define that specification as one specific standard. In that, you can use YAML to define these OpenAPI specifications. Next, it is also used to create the DevOps pipelines. For instance, you can create a build pipeline in Azure DevOps and you can store the configuration as in a YAML format. The advantage of this approach is that, as mentioned before, you can check in these files or add these to your source control so that it becomes code as an infrastructure. It becomes even easier to manage in this way. Next, YAML is used to define the Kubernetes resources. When you are working with Kubernetes, you might be seeing that you need to configure or define the various resources that forms part of these Kubernetes. YAML is being used actively to define such resources in the case of Kubernetes. YAML tools. In this lesson, we will look at some of the tools you can use when you are working with YAML language. At a very high level, the YAML tools are categorized into two categories. One is the YAML conversion tools. The other is the set of libraries that you can work with each programming languages. In the first category, namely online YAML conversion tools, here you have got various tools that you can use to convert from one format to the other format. To begin with, we have YAML Viewer. This tool can be used when you want to view the structure of the YAML in a more easier format. This is a tool we are going to use throughout this course to understand the language constructs of YAML. Next, we have YAML to JSON conversion tools. There are lots of tools available in the internet when it comes to the conversion between YAML to JSON, YAML to XML, and so on. So this is one of the tools that you can use to convert YAML to JSON. Next, we have another tool, namely convertjson.com, that is one of the other tool that you can consider in case you don't prefer the previous tool. We'll get into this tool shortly to see how it looks like. The next category refers to the set of tools that you can use when you are working with a specific language. What this means is that if you are going to work with languages such as C#, Python, Java and so on, then each of these languages has got their own libraries. These libraries is going to work with the YAML language and make it easier for you to implement in your specific language. Let us now quickly go through these tools to see how they look like. First is the set of online tools that is related to the conversions. Here you can see the tool, namely YAML Viewer, which as the name tells is used to view the YAML language structure. For example, if I'm going to copy a sample value, this is a sample YAML structure, then you can see in a more detailed manner. This is shortly known as YAML tree, meaning that you can view the information which is present in the YAML in a more easier format. So we'll be using this tool, namely YAML Viewer, throughout this course. Let's get to the second tool, namely the conversion tools from YAML to JSON. This is one of the tools that you can use to convert. Let's say we have this YAML and you can see the corresponding JSON output readily converted through the online. So in case you want to convert it during when you are working with your specific program, then you can use these tools. Similar to this, we have one more tool from convertjson.com wherein you can convert the YAML to the JSON files. Once you can paste it and then you can see the output in the right hand side. The advantage with this tool is that you can browse and then upload a specific YAML file, as well as you can use this option to minimize the JSON. It's going to strip out all the new lines, extra spaces and give you in the more minimal fashion. This is one of the main advantage with this tool compared to the other tools. Next, let's get into the language specific libraries available for various languages. If you are working with C#, then you can consider using this specific library called YAML.NET. YAML.NET is a YAML library for .NET Standard and other .NET runtimes. This library provides low-level parsing and emitting of YAML as well as a high-level object model similar to XML documents. So if you notice, here it contains various samples, test cases and various details which shows how to use the YAML.NET library in the C#. You can go through the quick start and various help resources available here to quickly start integrating with your C# application. With a few lines of code, you can start serializing and deserializing an object into a YAML string. This is for the C# language. Similarly, you have similar libraries in other languages. For example, if you consider Python, then you have a couple of libraries such as PyYAML that is going to work with the YAML language. You also have other libraries such as RUAML.YAML, RUAMEL. So this library also can be used. One of the main thing you need to notice or consider when you are picking a library is the support for the version. Notice that the YAML 1.2 is the latest version. Hence, if you are going to work I start from scratch with the YAML, then look for the libraries that has a support for YAML 1.2. So whatever the libraries that I have mentioned so far supports 1.2. If it's a Java language, then one of the package available is evo-YAML. This supports the YAML when you are working with the Java language. These are just some of the popular ones with some of these languages. If you need more languages that you are going to use in your programming set, then you can refer to this specific web page from YAML. This shows the list of all libraries available for specific languages. For instance, we have for Java, we also have for C#.NET, and in case you are working with C++, then you have certain libraries, and also you can scroll down to view the libraries available in various other language structures. In case you want to stick with previous versions such as YAML 1.0, YAML 1.1, then you can pick the language accordingly. I'm going to include the link of all these main packages as well as tools in the cheat sheet in the top section. Feel free to have a look at it and then use it when you are working with YAML in your specific programming language. Having covered about an overview of YAML, the difference between YAML and JSON, and various YAML tools, let's get started with writing the language structures in YAML. In this YAML viewer tool, we will be writing the YAML structure in the left side, and once you click on the YAML viewer button, it's going to convert the YAML structure to a more readable format. Let's start with comments. In YAML, you use the symbol hash to define a comment. Anything followed by this specific symbol is considered as comments. For example, let's have a comment as college management system. So this is considered as a single line comment. You should notice that YAML doesn't have a specific operator to define a multi-line comment. Hence, if you are going to have a comment that is going to span multiple lines, you just repeat it using the same hash symbol. For example, this is a simple system. I am creating a multi-line comment using a same symbol, namely hash. Shows how to manage courses and students. So this is considered as a multi-line and this is considered as a single line. But when it comes to the usage, there is no difference. So anything followed by the hash key is going to be ignored by the YAML processors. Notice that one recommended approach I would like to tell you is that when it comes to comments, I prefer to leave a space between the symbol and the actual text, so that it is more easier for you as well as your other developers to read these comments. Also, depending upon the tool that you are using, some of them support a shortcut key combinations. For instance, you can use control followed by the / in some of the IDEs to comment out the lines. If it's a YAML, then it's going to comment out all those lines. In the next lesson, let's look at the fundamental part of YAML, namely the key value pairs. Let's look that next. Key value pairs in YAML. YAML entire structure is defined using the fundamental type, namely the key value pairs. Just like JSON, the entire YAML is going to be defined using one or more of these key value pairs. The key value pair is very simple. It is going to be in the format key followed by a space followed by a value. So this is a key value. Let's see what happens if it's going to view in the representation. We have the key followed by the value. This is a very fundamental structure in YAML. Notice that again the space is not mandatory here. Even if you remove it, it's going to be still okay. But it's general practice that for better readability, we give a space after the colon. For example, I can enter a key value pair as, say, student ID. This is a key and the value is 130. So 130 is the actual student ID value and student ID is the key. If you view it, you can notice that it is of type student ID and the value is 130. Next, you need to know that the keys can contain spaces. Although the various programming languages does not allow spaces in the variables, in the case of YAML, the keys can contain spaces. What it means is that you can consider as first followed by a space followed by the name. Let's say it is Ashok. So here you can notice that there is a space in the key itself. It is perfectly allowed in the case of YAML. You can notice that it is allowed and you can see in the right hand side. Also, you can use quotes such as single quotes and double quotes in the case of keys. For example, I can have something like the last name. This is the key and I've wrapped it in a double quotes. You can have something like Kumar. It is still allowed. Also, you can use a single quote such as say age and you can have the value 35. You can see from the output that all of these shows in the same format. If you are going to use double quotes or single quotes, the final output doesn't matter. It is going to be internally represented as just a string. Depending upon certain language and the certain tools, they use double quotes or single quotes. But generally, YAML doesn't contain either of these quotes or the spaces. Although the language construct allows, when you are writing these YAML structures, the most recommended approach is to have it in a more simple format as this. You might then have a question when you need to use these quotes. These codes are useful if the key contains special characters that require escape sequences. So in such cases, you can consider to include double quotes and then include those escape sequences. Otherwise, it's always better to have them in the most simple format. The final point I would like to mention about the keys is that the keys have to be unique in a given scope. Means that currently we are in a specific course called the root scope. So within this scope, the keys should be unique, which means that you cannot have another key which has been already present here, say first name. This is not going to work. The reason being the first name has already been defined in this specific scope. Hence, you cannot have the same key repeated. You just keep this in mind, and then when you are creating the more complex structures, then it becomes more easier. Having learned about the key value pairs, the next important topic that you need to understand is about indentation. YAML works based on indentation. Let's cover that in the next lesson. Importance of indentation. Indentation is very important when it comes to YAML. Notice that compared to JSON, YAML is simpler because YAML does not use any of the indicators that used to be in other languages. For example, JSON uses double quotes and the curly brackets to identify the structure or the scope of each structures. Those are not available in YAML. Then how does the processors of YAML know how to structure it? The key here is the indentation. YAML uses the indentation that you can enter using various number of spaces to define the structure. For example, if I am going to consider these entire details as a single student, then I can use indentation as by pressing the tab or the number of spaces. Once you do this, and if you view it at the YAML viewer, you can notice that all the other properties that we have defined so far is represented under a single student. This was made possible because of these spaces that is available between or before the keys. Next, let's look at how to indent or the recommended approach when it comes to indentation. How many spaces you should give? Either it's 1, 2, or is there any maximum limit, or can you use a tabs? So let's cover that next. When it comes to the recommended approach, generally 2 spaces are used. If you notice here, we have used 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, which means that this specific tool, namely YAML viewer, uses 4 spaces when you press a tab key. So this brings to an interesting point. You can use the tab key as well when you are working with the YAML. Internally, it's going to create the spaces. Note that it doesn't mean that YAML supports tab natively. It does not support tab keys as such, but depending on the tool, when the tool converts the tab into multiple spaces, then it should be okay. Just as we have seen here, when we use a tab key here, it's going to enter 4 spaces. Then it creates a new indentation, and that is still fine here. So in short, when you are working with YAML, indentation is key, and you have to maintain the same set of indentation. Either you can use spaces or you can use a tab key when the tool converts those tab key to spaces.